Hello, my name is Henry Barajas. I am the Director of Operations of Top Gal Productions, and I am so excited again to be back for San Diego Comic-Con. And I have so many amazing people, and we're going to talk about all of our incredible projects. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 29th consecutive Top Gal San Diego Comic-Con panel. So what an honor to be back virtually again. And we can't have a Top Cow panel without the Top Cow founder, the one and only Marc Silvestri.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Henry.
Hey, Marc.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And hopefully next year we'll all be able to do this in person, right? But for now, we're virtual, and we want to thank you for tuning in. And like Henry said, we got some cool stuff to talk about. And yes, this has been a few consecutive years that we've been doing these panels, and happy to be back. Even virtual, it's still great. We're all still making and reading comics, and that's all that matters, right? So again, thanks everyone for joining us.
I agree. And again, we can't have a Top Cow panel without one of the most prolific Top Cow writers and creators, Matt Hawkins.
Hey everybody! Thanks for having me. Hey Henry. Hi Marc.
Great.
No, it's great to see you all on here. It's been a wild year or two. One thought went through my head as Henry was saying it's the 29th consecutive Top Cow San Diego Comic-Con panel. I think Marc is the only one that's been to all 29. I was doing the math. I've been to 22 of them. So the last 22 I've been at, but Marc would be the sole person to be at all 29.
Oh, there you go. Whee! Yay me!
I think that's a record. Right.
This is I've been going to San Diego without missing, except for obviously the pandemic, without missing a single show since 1988.
Wow.
So what is that math? Matt, you're the math guy. What is that? How many years is that?
2002 is, what is that, 34 years? Straight.
34 years straight. Wow. So I'm including these virtual ones, so you can't take that away from me.
This is my first one was 93, so that puts me 5 years behind you. I've only done one San Diego Comic-Con that wasn't part of Image Comics, and that was the 1 year where Rob had his awesome comics booth that was outside of 96, 7. When was that, Marc? Do you remember?
Oh, those days were all kind of a blur to me. So
it was right after he was ousted. I don't recall.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, in the mid '90s, someplace.
Well, yeah. I mean,
do I look like I have a halo on my head? Don't I? What is that?
Yeah, you look godly.
Light at your painting behind you.
I think that works. That works. I'm keeping it.
It looks very angelic,
That's me.
Speaking of angelic, we got the new writer for Witchblade with us. That's Marguerite Bennett.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Marguerite.
Marguerite. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yes, we are so excited. We've talked about this before, but we're really coming together on solidifying the upcoming Witchblade series with you. And I know you've had so many announcements. You're working with the Mother of Dragons. We learned that last month. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're excited for you to work with the Mother of Witchblades, or I don't know. We'll have to talk to marketing about that.
No, I'm really delighted. I just could not be more excited. We've been cooking on this story since, fall of 2019. And, just before the call, Matt gave me some delightful news. So I just, cannot tell you how excited I am, to get back to work. And nice. To finally, bring this new incarnation of Sara to a new generation of readers and to long-term fans. So, I'm just so honored and so delighted to be part of this legacy and this history.
We couldn't be happier. You are literally the perfect choice. And there's lots of great creators and great writers out there. And one of the things that makes magic happen is when the right writer is on the right project. And that is you. That is absolutely you, and what you're going to do with Sara and the Witchblade, I think is going to blow people away. Not just the Witchblade and the world that it opens up, but Sara. I don't know which one I'm more excited about. It's like for people to see your version of Sara the person or Sara the wielder of the Witchblade. I think they're both just amazing. So I'm stoked. As a fan, I'm stoked.
And I know, I mean, Matt and Mark, you two have been, really instrumental on, and with Elena and Vince, instrumental in reimagining Witchblade, but also honoring, you know, the character that we've all, after 25 years, have been enjoying. What are some of like the things that you've been thinking about as far as like what you want to do in this new incarnation that is not only going to honor the character, but also possibly, and not just possibly, but will bring new readers that are fans of Marguerite that have probably never seen Witchblade on the shelves before?
Well, and I think you just touched on exactly what we're trying to do, and I think we're going to pull off that little trick where we have an iconic character that's been around for a long time, and in various forms, other media as well as comic books. So there's a lot of love for Sara Pezzini and the Witchblade, and you got to be careful with that, right? And one thing that I've always told people around me is that, look, once you create something and you put it out there, you no longer are the sole owner of what that is, right? When you create a beloved character, right, you have a responsibility to the people that love that character. That is your new job, right? It's like you need to make them happy as well as yourself as a creator, right? And I think, for us, it was very important to honor the people that have loved Witchblade over the years, and give them what they want, and continue those stories, but also at the same time, and this is where Marguerite's unique skill set comes in, introduce new readers. We're not changing anything. We're not reinventing the wheel, but we're pulling off a pretty cool rabbit out of the hat trick, where I think, and my conversations with Marguerite, it seems like she believes it as well, and that we can service the original readers that have been with us forever, the original fans, as well as introducing Sara to a whole brand new, hopefully big bunch of new readers and fans. So, I mean, that's the goal. And Marguerite, if you want to add anything to that, please do.
Sure. Thank you also so much for the kind words. The real thesis of, the first arc is the idea that, not that power corrupts, but that power reveals. And, the Witchblade, I don't believe it's a spoiler to say, is this tool that's meant to bring justice to a world out of balance. And it's always come to a woman as the avatar of the Witchblade. And so it asks this question of, well, who is wielding whom here? Does the Witchblade wield the woman, or does the woman wield the Witchblade? And where does your strength lie if you become a vessel, if you become an object? What does that say of your power and your identity and your agency? And, it's going to be, just as Mark said, such, a deep dive character study into Sara and, into this quest for justice or revenge, regarding the death of her father. And, what goes beyond this, as she encounters other people who have these powers and what they've chosen to do with it, and what they've chosen to do with their time in this world. And, we're going to have, mystery and romance and horror and sensuality and monsters and revenge. And I'm just very, very excited.
Goosebumps. Can you see the goosebumps? I know Matt has them. Come on.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
Henry always has them.
The thing with this reboot, what we're doing with this is, honestly, it's what I've always wanted to do. I came to Top Cow in '98, and Witchblade and Darkness and all those characters already existed, and there was already sort of some stuff going on. And over the course of the 22 intervening years, or however long it's been, a lot of things were changed. There were a lot of different writers, a lot of different artists. And one of the things I've always wanted to do, and we discussed it in the last few years, and when Mark greenlit it, I was very excited, was the idea of doing new books and not, reimagining like Sara from the beginning and taking these characters and giving them where it's, again, one of the things I always liked, I said this in interviews because I did write the last issue, 85 of Witchblade, was I loved that character aged in real time. From the mid-'90s, she was in her 20s, to when we ended the book in the late 2000s, she was 45 or whatever it was, or whenever we ended it. So I like that, and this is a new character. It's a new, fresh take, but I agree. I agree with what Mark is saying. I think it will be good and palatable for anyone that's read this over any period of time, and hopefully we'll grab a lot of new fans with it. It's a beautiful book.
What I think we're doing with Witchblade is something very special, where we did a Kickstarter where we have a 1/2 issue out there that's the only way to get new Sara stories. And so we try to give people an experience. And I think that's what's going to happen with this next incarnation of this amazing character that has stood the test of time. One of those like iconic superhero that wasn't supposed to be a superhero, but it's more of a fantasy. It just goes through so many different, moments in comic book history. And I'm really excited to see what Marguerite's going to do.
Yeah, she's going to create new moments.
Cheers.
We're all looking forward to it and very, very excited. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Marguerite.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks for
Absolutely. Thank you.
Looking forward to getting into it with you.
Oh, yeah. Be fun.
Talk soon.
All right. One of, I think, kind of following the Witchblade game plan, I think, is one of the newest series that we did last year, was Amanda Mungy. And we're very grateful to have the artist, Josh George, who is coming in and going to start drawing Amanda Mungy. And issue number 5 is out now. And we also have another full story to be telling. Thank you so much, Josh, for joining us.
All right. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it's nice to be able to see the faces, because I know I've had correspondence with people through email, but a lot of you, it's the first time I've actually seen you.
Disappointed, aren't you? I can tell. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Real quick, Josh, before you get going on there, I just got to say that the work you're doing on Amanda Mungy is top notch. It's beautiful stuff. Love it. We all love it over here. We're just big fans of it. So thank you so much for bringing your talents to this book, and looking forward to a nice run on it. So awesome, dude. Great work. Everyone, you're going to love it. You really are.
Yeah. I've been drawing for 30 years, probably like most people now. Like the first drawings I remember doing were like comic characters as a kid, drawing He-Man or Spider-Man or things like that. So I still remember when, the changes came in comics, and, of course, the early 90s when the new companies started coming out. So as a comics fan, I remember those things really well. And I actually, like I said earlier, I was a big fan of Marc Silvestri as a kid. I'm also from Florida. I live in Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
I remember hearing that you were from Florida as well.
Yeah, I was born in West Palm Beach.
Yeah. And then the writer on the book is also from Florida. Stephanie Phillips is from Tampa. Yeah.
That's a Floridian book, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
although I don't really count with that.
We've always been known as the Florida of comics.
Well, whatever that means.
I didn't know that.
Well, it is now.
I always thought you were born in Chicago.
No, I
always thought you were born in Chicago.
I grew up in Chicago, but I was born in Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I lived there for like 4 years. So.
I was born in Chicago.
What?
I only lived there for a short time, and then I grew up in Florida.
Dude, it's like the Mirrorverse right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was born in
Wow.
I was born in North Dakota, and I'm the only person you'll ever meet that was born there.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's true.
Have you ever met anyone else born in North Dakota? I was born in Minot, North Dakota.
There has
Henry was hatched. Henry was hatched at an undisclosed location. Area 51, I believe it was. Yeah. So
that's right.
So Josh,
Josh, do you want to talk about the book a little bit and tell us what Amanda Mungy is about, so that we can hear a little bit about that since Stephanie's not with us?
Well, since I've only read the 2 issues.
Oh,
so
well, let's get Henry.
I haven't got
information.
Well, I mean, yeah. So Amanda Mungy is about Anne Bonny, which is a real life pirate, and being from Florida, and pirates is such a huge, part of the culture. I'm actually going to say it's part of the Florida culture.
Caribbean, man. Come on.
What was it? What is it like to, honor that, that Florida part of you?
Actually, it's really interesting. And of course, as an artist, you have to do research and get reference. And I actually bought a pirate sword and a little pistol because I wanted to have some realistic looking reference. And my hometown was actually settled by the Spaniards. So Pensacola and Florida itself means Flora. It comes from the Spanish word for flowers. So looking at some of the clothing, as an artist, this is what I had to start looking at. Like, what did the English people wear in this time period? And of course, the Spanish people settled in Florida and, the southern islands as well, around the Caribbean. So the first thing I did, I went downtown to Pensacola, and there were some statues of the early Spanish explorers, because I just wanted to get a photo of the hats they might wear, those kind of things. Really don't know much about the history of pirates, and even as a comics fan, usually the things that we're looking at are related to science fiction, or like Witchblade, things that you're covered with metal or something that morphs to your body. So this is a much more traditional style of art, drawing the book about pirates. So I think it's an interesting change in the current atmosphere of comics, where you have so much futuristic things, and this is something that's a lot more traditional. People aren't going to have 2 heads or something like that.
Yes.
Or a healing factor or something like that. Those things are great, but it's not going to happen in this book.
The detail you do on the clothing and the time period and that kind of stuff, because I always find that stuff really interesting. And I know there's a lot of times when things are lazy. I was just discussing last night the Game of Thrones prequel, of all things. It takes place like hundreds and hundreds of years before the main Game of Thrones storyline, but the people are all dressed exactly the same. And I was fascinated by that, because show me a time period where there's 500 or 600 years that go by and people are dressed the same. They're not. And so I actually truly appreciate that you do that sort of detail and concern. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think in the future, we're all going to be wearing gray suits, skin tight body suits.
I already do.
Now, Buck Rogers.
Yeah, we'll rock all that. We'll rock it. No, it's like, and again, it's like, I like the way that you give the world of pirates a texture to it. It has a nice worn-in look to it. It looks like your pirate ships looks like they've been sailing, and your eye for detail is going to be really, I think, greatly appreciated in something like this. Because pirates, they're swashbuckling. You're on the high seas. It's just action, just right. Inherent in what it is, and with the colorful background, based in actual history of these characters, these were really bloodthirsty people doing bloodthirsty things. That I think over time we almost look back on those days as kind of fiction. It's like, no, those days actually happened. There were real people doing these really dirty things on the high seas, and that's what they lived for. So, and I think your art kind of brings that energy and excitement to it. So we really appreciate it, and it's very cool. I hope you're having a good time, because it sure looks like it.
Yeah, it's the story. It's challenging.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's challenging.
Good
to do that. Drawing realistic looking people has its challenges, but it's also rewarding when I finish a panel, because every once in a while you'll be like, oh wow, this panel is so great, and other people might miss it, but I think artists know when they've done something that's worth remembering.
Yeah. And that's a funny little quirk that you bring up, because in projects that I work on, and you can relate to this because you just said it, I will have a panel that I love, right? That literally no one else would even give a rat's ass about if they saw it. It's like a throwaway panel to anyone else. There's no big hero shot on there or anything like that. It's just, but for some reason, as the artist, as the person, it goes, that is the panel that I nailed completely in what I saw in my head turned out on paper. Maybe nobody else cares, but I love that little panel. It could be a cityscape, it could be anything but that panel, right? So good, make yourself happy, and then everybody else reading the book will be happy as well. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Just to say, I want to comment a little bit about the story itself. I actually really like this story. It's an action adventure story about female pirates. One of the things I really like that Stephanie did in sort of the historical context was she used that a lot of the pirates and some of the things about the piracy were actually tied into politics of the day. In fact, some of the more interesting stories, and she told me one of these, was, I didn't realize this, was that there was a very famous, and I'd have to look it up or somebody can ask her, but there was a very famous British seaman who was a captain, and he was a clandestine pirate. He was running for the Queen's Majesty, but at the same time he was a pirate. And I really thought that was interesting, and I actually learned about that by reading. She does in the back of her book, similar to what I do in mine, and a lot of us, like Henry, you did in yours, where there's like information about the book, more details, process, behind the scenes sketches, and she does that in the back of every issue, and I find that really, really interesting. And I to be honest, outside of Pirates of the Caribbean, I've never really studied the pirates, but reading the backup she wrote in the issues, I learned a lot about piracy and things I didn't know. In fact, it really interested me to where I went and watched a documentary, and I just happened to be scrolling across it. There's a really interesting documentary on piracy on Netflix that came out a few years ago. I can't remember the name of it either. I'll post it on social media.
Yeah, and by the time people are watching this, they'll be able to get issue number 5, issue number 6. We have another 4-issue run coming up. And where are you at now, Josh?
We're just starting number 7.
Okay.
We're just starting number 7. I drew the covers for 7 and 8 already, but I just actually started the splash page for number 7. And
awesome.
I guess going back, because the first thing I had to do when Stephanie reached out to me is I looked at the first comics, and I didn't even really know, because I guess I just haven't studied this enough, but the idea of women disguising themselves as males in order to join the Navy or get on a ship, that in itself, I just didn't know about this, I know even in recent times, like in World War II, young men would lie about their age in order to join the Army or Marines. 15-year-olds would say that they're 18 so that they could go serve. But I just didn't know anything about, women disguising themselves as a man to join the Navy or get on a boat or, be part of a crew.
It's a fun trick to pull off. You learn something while you're being entertained. Stephanie does that really well with these stories. So if anyone seeing this has not checked out Man Among Ye, please do, because it's really great. And Stephanie's doing an amazing job, and Josh is doing an amazing job. They're an awesome creative team. So give it a shot. You will not be disappointed.
The Verse Volume trade is out in stores now. And sorry, Henry. And I know that we have. Don't we have a preview of the first issue up on the?
There's a preview of the first issue
area
on topcow.com. Yeah. There's a preview out on comicsbeat.com for number 5. It's out there, and give it a shot. I think like Matt, you'll be very surprised.
You can go to topcow.com right now, go to the free comics section, and you can download the first issue and read it for free to see if you like it. And then if you like it, we'll have links and places on there where you can go and you can buy the book and then read it yourself.
Nice. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
All right. So we have a brand new series that we're really excited about with an really ecstatic team, a group of people that are really stoked and just have a fire under them to get this out. Let's bring on Patrick Meany, the co-creator of Siphon.
Patrick.
And Jeffrey Edwards.
What's going on?
What's up, Jeffrey?
How you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Henry. And
thanks so much.
Crew. Exciting to be here virtually. The snacks in the green room were amazing. So
you're virtually full right now.
Oh yeah. So
virtually anything you want.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick, if you don't mind telling us about Siphon, because at this point, when the panel is out, people have already been able to get the first issue.
Yeah, I think the first issue will be out right around now of when this panel is airing. So the series was developed by me and Mohsen Ashraf, who's a first-time comics writer who's kind of coming from the world of film. And we met and started talking about this story. And I have a background having done a bunch of documentaries about the world of comics, which is where I met Matt and Marc, who I interviewed for the documentary I did on Image Comics called The Image Revolution. And I also crossed paths with you, Henry, in the travels of doing all these projects. So it was an exciting concept, and I worked with him, and we kind of broke out the story. So the basic premise is the series is about a guy named Silas who's an EMT, and he discovers this kind of mysterious power that allows him to take people's kind of pain and suffering, to siphon it, hence the title. So over the course of the series, we see him kind of struggling with how is he able to help people and kind of take their burdens onto him, which sort of, all the pain that they feel, he could take it away from them, but it gathers in him. So kind of the question at the heart of the series is how, much of the darkness in the world can you bring upon yourself in pursuit of healing it before you destroy yourself, and trying to find kind of a balance in life. So over the course of it, you kind of get to see a lot of this cool ancient mythology and find out that this is something that's stretched back and forth in time, but it's kind of a grounded story set in like a city just like any of today, but with some secrets underneath that are pretty exciting.
Yeah, and Patrick, I remember when I'm trying to remember the first time you and I talked about this book, and then we eventually brought it over. Was that it was years ago, right? I mean, has it been years and years in the making? It seems like it has been with the shutdown.
I think so. Yeah, it's taken a little bit, but I think ultimately, it all worked out for the best because we were able to get Jeff on board, who has just been nailing it with the art, and it's been fun. I think I'm always kind of like, oh, what crazy challenges can I give Jeff to draw of things from, across time and inside people's minds and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I think Jeff has knocked it out of the park every single time. So I think people are going to be really, really impressed by what they see from him.
Well, I appreciate that so much. I mean, there's been quite an array of everything from kind of trippy and psychedelic scenes where we're kind of delving into the mindscape of certain characters to traveling back in time and everything in between. It's full of challenges, but I love when I get something that's a little bit of a curveball. I've had to do some references myself, looking up. Coming from a police and military family, I know like certain aspects of like uniforms and stuff. I'm so glad I looked up like what an EMT looks like because there's so many specifics to it. I almost gave him a badge, stuff like that, little things like that that you never really think of. You just take for granted. And I mean, that's not even talking about the concept art that we did for, just so much. There's so much I can't talk about yet, but I've been smiling like an idiot for a few months now. So my wife's sick of it. She's just done with me. She can't take any more of it.
Glad you went to Charlotte, Jeff?
It was Richmond.
Oh, was it Richmond? I'm sorry.
Yes. No, it's fine. I will never forget it because I do lots of the cons and everything. I actually met you, Mr. Silvestri. I met you at Louisville. It was fantastic.
Just before the shutdown?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got to meet you, and strangely enough, I had one of those moments. I'm walking in the airport, and I'm about 6'4", so I'm a lot of humanity. I rarely see another person that's all like me, and I look over and I did a double take. I'm like, no, that's not. It was you. Like, if I wasn't running to my gate right now, I would stop and say hello again. But it was Richmond. It was GalaxyCon Richmond, and amongst all the reasons why it stands out was I got to meet Mr. Stevenson from Image the day before I met you, Miss Montoya from AWA. So I'd been blessed to get into quite a few reviews. They all went great, but yours was the shortest and best review I've ever had. It was, yeah. I don't know if you remember, but I gave you my portfolio as a comic book. I made it into a.
Yeah,
comic
I do remember
book.
that. I still have it.
Yeah, and and you were just like, I like it. I want to work with you. I was like, great.
Okay.
That's
Working there and
Nice and easy.
And I thought it was amazing work. But
Thank
I
you
can tell
so
you just
much.
a little context, but you may not realize is when I had just done like 3 hours of portfolio reviews, and you were one of the last, if you remember that. And I think you were like the second to last or last. And I had gone through, even when I come across someone with a portfolio that needs a ton of work, I will try to give that person some tips and spend some time with them and try to help them as long as they're open to it and not, angry or douchey about my feedback.
Right.
But I just remember meeting you after seeing so many of these things. And then I just looked at your work and I'm like, wow, this is really good. And I sort of just scrolled through it. And it's funny. I remember I got your information, and then I was walking away from that, and Eric Stevenson came across me. I was walking down back to my booth, and Eric came across me, and I said, he's like, what have you been doing? And I'm like, oh, I did, a bunch of hours of portfolio reviews. He's like, I did some too, and there's really only one guy worth getting. Did you see a guy named Jeff Edwards? And I'm like,
there you go.
So I have his info, and I pulled out that comic, and I you not, Jeff. I don't know if you realize this. Eric pulled it out too. Do you remember giving him one?
I do. I
mean, I had it.
I didn't get a comic. I got no comic.
I would send you one. Absolutely.
So this was the next day, Mark. And I was so weird because Eric had his little bag and I had my bag. I pulled mine out. I had just got it. And it's like, oh yeah, this guy. And it was just kind of it was a cool moment. And I'm glad that it worked out for you, man. You're doing great work.
I'm glad it worked out for us, dude. You've got real talent, and I think you and Patrick obviously working together is a great match. Like I talked about earlier with Marguerite on the right project, you guys together on this are taking this really human idea that has elements of the fantastic, obviously, and giving it real life. And that's both of you working in tandem to make that happen. So. Patrick, kudos to you and your writing partner on that. And Jeffrey, just you're rocking it, dude. And like Matt said, you were the guy in that whole show. So
only one.
There you go.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Mark.
Yes,
well, it's been really fun working with Top Cow. I think and kind of going to the other side of the not making a documentary about stuff, but actually making stuff instead. And I think. It's something that, we're hoping that this will be the first of several different miniseries in this universe.
I think we feel the same way. We're very much open to future collaborations, and I think you guys are fantastic. So,
absolutely. Great job. Great job all around. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. I'm here.
When's this book come out, guys? We want to release the
July 21st, I believe.
All right.
It comes out July 21st. And do we have a preview up anywhere people can look at, Henry?
Yeah, it's been all over the place. Thankfully, with the help of Kat Salazar, a lot of media outlets have picked it up. And it's also on topcow.com/Siphon. You can check out the preview and links to pre-order the book there.
Yeah, Henry's been doing a great job of keeping our website up to date. And Henry, kudos to you for doing that and all the subsections you do. And because I think it has made a real difference that people can now come to our site, and it's more than just hey, here's when the books are coming out. There's a lot of information there. There's articles that Henry writes. There's information on projects that are upcoming. It's become more of an all-encompassing site, which I really like, and I credit you 100% for that, Henry.
Absolutely, great job, Henry.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Let's get to Matt. You have been really busy this last couple years, and we got Swing Volume 4. We had Swing Volume 3 come out during a pandemic, which is not the most ideal time, but the fact that you're still putting stuff out there, even when everyone's at home, and it's probably a lot more difficult. I mean, speaking from experience, it's been a lot more difficult to be creative. What has that experience been like for you?
I always wrote at home. So the writing part of working from home has always been, it's easy for me. And I try to write for 3 or 4 hours a day, and I just sit down and I do it. And I don't really have I've been told all the time that you should have a space to do it at. The space you see me sitting at right now is actually not where I work. I work all over the place in my place, and even at the park and various places just to get outdoors and see. But I think, I think most of it is for me is just making checklists of the work I need to get done and make lists of things I need to do. And these are the 4 things I have to get done today. I have to respond to these 3 emails. So a lot of it is just, time management. It has been difficult. I mean, the hardest thing for me is when to shut it off. And I don't know if you guys have that same problem, but you know, I get an email from Elena at 9 p.m. and I'm like about to go to bed, and then I start thinking about it and I'll respond to her. You know what I mean? I'm like, that could have waited until 8 a.m. You know, but I think that's the one thing is kind of the universal with the cell phones and everything that we have. There seems to be like a 24/7. We're all available all the time for this stuff with social media and all that. But it's just a balance, finding a life balance of what works for you.
You know, the fact that, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm only sleeping like 5.5 to 6 hours a night at the most. You know, just because of everything that's going on. It's like it's the second you wake up, you know, like we have the dogs, and if one of them barks and wakes me up in the morning, that's it. You know, so I'm up. You know, so but yeah, you know, Henry, like you said, you know, being creative right now is, for the past year has been kind of a challenge for a lot of people, you know, but yeah, fortunately people are out there buying comics. And, you know, now they're able to get back into the stores, which is beyond awesome.
Right.
You know? So if you can out there, go visit your local comic shop and support them. And thank you for supporting us. Or go digital if that's the way you have to go. So we appreciate it.
And Henry, you mentioned Swing Volume 4. Just so Swing Volume 4 is done. It'll be out in September. It's sort of the fun thing about that one is it's an active collaboration between Swing and Sunstone. The S&M Club and Sunstone that has appeared in the last several volumes, it will actually appear at Swing Volume 4, and those characters will go to it. So, and also we continue to have the video game sequence where all the characters from Sunstone, Bloodstain and Swing continue to play like an online video game together. So it's been fun working closely with the Sedgwicks on a tight number of books that sort of interrelate like that. And it's been a challenge because he lives so far overseas and it's so busy with so many various projects. But it's been fun. Swing Volume 4 will be out in September. Swing Volume 5 will be a larger, conclusive story to that 5-volume arc. It will be the end of those characters. We might do more with those characters again, but at the end of those story, those characters are older. So, you know, they're like 28 and 33 now. So you can imagine that there's a lot that happens in volumes 4 and 5 that sort of wraps that storyline up. Sedgwick has got fine print and a bunch of other things, new projects. He's got Shield Maidens, the Achilles Shield Maidens, and he's just working on so many different things all at the same time. It's kind of hard for me to figure out his process. He seems to just go for 2 weeks on something, then he sleeps for 4 days, and then he goes for 2 weeks on something else. He's just an output machine. But between that and Punderworld and so many of these things that those guys have come out in sort of that romance category that we have, it's fun. And I'm getting used to now being called romance writer Matt Hawkins. It was a little weird at first.
There you go.
Because
we all need a title.
Science fiction and but that's what I keep reading interviews in non-comic press, like some of the stuff we've had recently where they'll refer to me as a romance writer, which kind of cracks me up actually. But whatever works. And then other stuff we're working on, Henry. We're working on a series of projects with a company called Epitome, which is Rich Leibowitz's company with a couple other people. And Rich has most notably worked with us, developed the Darkness video game series, and has worked with us on some other video game content. But we're doing a series of books with them, including, I don't know if you want to talk about St. Mercy as part of this or separately, or curious if you have any thoughts on.
Yeah, we can talk about St. Mercy. Yeah.
I'm sorry. But I think I could talk about those.
No, that's fine. No, St. Mercy. Yeah, no, definitely. We should talk about those because those are coming out and they'll be solicited. They've already been solicited in July. Really excited about St. Mercy.
St. Mercy is written by John Platten, who probably is best known as a video game writer. He wrote the Jurassic Park video games. He worked on a number of other video games and franchises, has written for TV and film. He has written some comics in the past, but he is actively writing St. Mercy. And do you want to give a quick story summation, Henry?
Yeah,
I can do it.
It's no, that's fine. No, it's basically a story that has that starts from the Incas and into the Old West, and it's a lineage of blood basically, and it's interesting how this character St. Mercy kind of has to deal with that, and the parallels of those two stories are pretty interesting.
Right. the first volume is done by Attilio Rojo, who did The Tithe with me, and a number of other series. I'm trying to remember what else.
Yeah.
And he works on the cyber stuff. Yeah. Very talented artist. He is also working with me on another project called Arc, which is not the final title, but it's in essence a poaching book. It's about the poaching in South Africa of pangolins, rhinos, and it's an actual story dealing with South African nationals, et cetera, but we're excited about that one. That'll be a lot of fun, and Rojo is drawing that, and he actually wanted to do it and did submissions for a bunch of animals, which I'll include in the back of the book when it comes out, because he did some really cool rhinos and elephants. It's really fun to watch him do the big animals.
That's exciting.
Looking forward to that. What do we have next?
Well, this is the 25th anniversary of the Darkness, Mark. Congratulations.
Oh, that guy. Thank you. Yeah, we have big plans for that guy too. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, please elaborate, because I know you are that the Darkness has been on your mind.
Yeah, we have a Kickstarter coming up in which the Darkness will be. This is volume 2. Is it on that one, Henry?
Yeah, volume 2.
Volume 2 of the Darkness. Thank you everyone who was part of volume 1. Made that very successful. In this one, what we're doing is the same thing we did with Witchblade, in that you get a special 1/2 issue of the Darkness that you can only get through this Kickstarter program. And it's I'll be writing the Darkness myself. And this 1/2 issue, you're going to love it. It's drawn by Chris Mitten. And if you're not familiar with his work, he's done some amazing stuff on Hellboy. And if you go online and Google him, it's Christopher Mitten. You'll see that he's really cool choice for the Darkness, and his version of Jackie and all the Darkness is just amazing. But you will be able to get that 1/2 with this next Kickstarter campaign, and check it out when it comes out. But I'm very excited because obviously Jackie is something. Character that's very close to my heart. And years ago, when I was working with Garth Ennis on that book, that was one of the highlights for me. Just developing Jackie and introducing him to the world. And and obviously, Jackie's had 2 successful video games, the Darkness video games, that people have loved. And every convention I go to, people come to me with the Darkness game to sign, and Darkness comics to sign, obviously. So I'm really looking forward to reintroducing Jackie, and again, kind of like what we're doing with Witchblade, making the original fans of the Darkness happy. And it's Jackie Estacado, and it's his story, but told in a fresh way that also welcomes in new readers that aren't familiar with his exploits and the gift curse that the Darkness is. And that's a series that I will be writing myself. I'll be providing covers for that as well, because I love drawing Jackie and I love drawing the Darkness and all these little darklings that he's surrounded by. So I hope you like it. I'm having a great time with the concepts and how he's going to be reintroduced. But yeah, and do we have a date for the Kickstarter, or for people to look for that?
We will have something just yet, I think we'll have something announced by the time this video is airs. But we are definitely
watch out for those announcements. Yeah, but
definitely.
Again, thank you everyone while we're on the subject for supporting what we're doing on Kickstarter and Witchblade and Darkness. And this volume 2 is going to be very special again. You get the opportunity to have not only the other cool stuff that comes with it, but this special 1/2, which is only going to be available in this form. So, please check it out. Thank you for everything, all the support that you've done in the past, all of you.
And let me just say on the Darkness, I'm for one especially happy and excited to see Marc's version of this, because in the years I've talked with Marc about the Darkness, he's always talked about how Jackie's id and the manifestation of that and his internal conversation, his internal dialogue. So many of the writers I've seen that we've worked with over the years with Jackie, they always kind of wrote him as a villain, and we never really saw him that way. And I think. So Marc, I got to be honest, I'm really excited to see what you come up with, and I hope that we see a lot more of that sort of internal conflict that I hear you talking about, and I've seen you write a little bit about. But I really, truly enjoy that stuff, and I'm looking forward to your version of this, actually.
Oh, well, thank you.
An arc on the character yourself?
What was that?
Is this the first time you've written an arc on the character yourself?
Yeah,
or have you
this is
written
the first
arc?
time. No,
That's what I
first
thought.
time I'm going to be writing it. And the thing that I'm excited about exploring with this guy is that Jackie's a very complex character. And everyone talks about heroes and anti-heroes, right? And the simple difference between the two has always been, look, a hero just simply does the right thing because it's what they do. It's who they are. And an anti-hero does the right thing in spite of themselves, right? So I've always found that to be very interesting. With Jackie Estacado is that he's an anti-hero in that way. He does the right thing in spite of himself. And when you think of that, right, it's like that is a much more difficult thing for someone to do, right? Because he's kind of going against what he wants for himself. He's been raised a certain way where he's a selfish character. When you meet him, he's all about taking care of his needs, and he's thrust into this situation where he suddenly realizes that he's got to take care of others. And that's always going to be a constant battle with him, sometimes to comic effect. And
Right.
the darklings and the darkness around him, like Matt said, they're a manifestation of his id. Right? It's what's inside of all of us, but in a horrific way, it's made physical around him. Right. So in some ways, his darkest secrets have a tendency to pop up in the most inopportune moments that he can't control. It's like a darkling may come out and say something completely inappropriate with the audience that's around. It's because what he's thinking at that moment. And it takes him a while to gain control of that. But it's his rage that comes out. And it's also his desires that come out. Some of them are subconscious, and I'm going to have a lot of fun, exploring that aspect of humanity, like things that we desire or wish for that we're not even really conscious of, unless it's in our dreams or whatever at night. And, Jackie's got this thing in him now, this darkness power that kind of pulls the inside and throws it out, for not only him to see, but the world to see as well. And it's going to be fun, dealing with that within the fantasy action adventure genre. And trust me, I'm never going to slow things down by having him sit there and like contemplate his existence. Like, it's not the way that it works with Jackie. It's like
he's not going to eat pie.
Well, like I'm a firm believer in you define a character by their actions, right? And that's what makes an interesting character, and that's what makes an interesting story. So you'll always see Jackie, if he's got a situation like I just described, that's going to be presented, and it's going to be resolved through his decisions and what he does. And I think that's always what makes things compelling and interesting and keeps things moving. But I hope you like it, and I'm already digging it, and what I'm doing. So
I like what you're doing.
Thank you.
I would say, it's not often you see a creator of a franchise come back and re-envision it 25 years later. I mean, normally when you go with the big two or big companies, a lot of times they'll bring in different people to re-envision or do things. And I'm actually kind of excited about that. And I think it sort of, to me, is a testament to 30 years of Image Comics and the fact that Marc is able to do this. He created the darkness, he owns the darkness, and he can do whatever he wants with the darkness. And if he wants to re-envision it 25 years later, he can. And I think that is one of the beautiful things about Image Comics and what those guys did 30 years ago that continues to benefit all of us today, and because it wouldn't have happened to Marvel Comics.
No, and that is thank you, man. And that is, I think, the biggest legacy of Image Comics in general and independent comics. There's been independent comics before Image and such. Image just made it that much bigger and more able to bring in more people to experience that, more creators to experience that, make it a safe haven for them.
Yeah.
But that's always been, I think that's the thing that Image will always be remembered for. And I think it's, even with the bumps that have come along with that ride, I think the world of media, of entertainment has benefited from it, outside of comics even. So it's been great. So I get a chance to play with this character, and again, I'm not going to do anything that's going to make people who love Jackie Estacado and the Darkness upset in any way, shape, or form. It's Jackie. It's the Darkness, and it's what it is. I'm just going to expand on some ideas that I've always had that I want to do. So
And we have Elena Salcedo to thank for that.
Oh, Elena's here. Cool. Hi, Elena.
No, I mean, like she's quality checking.
Oh, absolutely. No, Elena's a big Darkness fan, and in full transparency, Dale Keown is her favorite Darkness artist. So Dale, if you're watching this, hey, come on, buddy, let's throw a cover our way. Just to please Elena. She always
welcome to the Top
makes
Cow
sure
bus.
make sure to mention that to me. It's like, okay, can we get Dale? It's like, well, I don't know. 5 minutes later, can we get Dale? It's like, but and again, it's like I'm actually having a great time as a creator on this and a writer, and I hope it comes through and everyone enjoys it as well.
Awesome. I'm
Well,
excited.
speaking of bus, let's bring back everybody in. So give everyone a moment. Marguerite, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff,
I didn't realize you guys were all back there for half an hour like that. We appreciate that, actually.
Chilling in the green room, drinking all the booze. Nice.
Free swag. Free virtual swag. We'll email it to you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Obviously, I've been doing this for a long time. Since 1981, I've been a professional. So I've been at it for a few years, and as an owner and a publisher, Image is coming up to its 30-year anniversary. So I've seen a lot on both sides, and I just want to let you all know that, and Matt will attest to this, is that I'm a big fan of creators, and I have a pretty good eye for talent. So all of you, thank you for joining what we do. Thank you for being part of the Top Cow family, and thank you for taking care of the franchises that we love. And thank you for bringing new ideas.
Yes.
You guys are all awesome, and you guys are all talented. And I'm looking forward, not simply as a publisher and an Image partner, but I'm at my core a creator and an artist. And I am looking most forward as a fan to see what all of you bring to the table. And all of you bring something really pretty special. And I hope you understand that. I know that all of us have been kind of secluded from our fan bases out there, so it's really tough. But I want you all to know that, again, as someone who's seen it all, literally, you are a talented bunch. And I'm thankful that you want to work with us. And I'm thankful that we have wonderful fans and wonderful creators like you that I've been a part of not just Top Cow's life, but my life personally. And again, thank you for bringing your massive skills to our little company. And to all the fans out there, you will not be disappointed in what these talented individuals bring to the table. So watch out for these books, and we'll be announcing when they come out. But again, thank you all, and I will shut up.
all right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hope you're having a good time with San Diego Comic-Con, and we look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Yes, in person. Thank you, everyone. Peace. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.